Widespread severe weather is coming today with the potential for dangerous nighttime tornadoes tonight for almost 10 million people. A weak area of low pressure at the surface will bring rich moisture from the Gulf towards places like the Ozarks. And this is going to bring the risk for all sorts of severe weather, including damaging winds, large hail, tornadoes, and the potential for a strong tornado. In addition, strong winds aloft will promote the risk of damaging winds across the East Coast on Sunday. I'm going to break down everything that you need to know for this weekend, so let's get right into the forecast. Looking at the Storm Prediction Center's outlook for today, we do have a level 3 out of 5 enhanced risk across areas like Kansas City, Wichita, and even Springfield, Missouri. We also do have a slight risk that extends all the way from Amarillo through Davenport, Iowa. And then that's accompanied by a marginal risk for severe weather that stretches all the way up into areas of Michigan and Wisconsin. Looking at today's tornado risk, we do have a more centralized 2% risk region across areas like St. Louis and even stretching into Kansas City and parts of northern Oklahoma and Arkansas. Where we have that brown 5% region is going to be increased confidence for tornadoes. And then this hatched region here is a SIG 1 risk. That's going to be the area where a possible strong tornado can't be ruled out into the later evening hours tonight. The wind risk for today is going to be much more widespread, stretching all the way from Michigan through areas like Amarillo, Texas. In the SIG 1 hatched region, that's going to be our greatest area for significant damaging winds. And in that red region there, that's where you've got a 30% chance for any kind of a damaging wind, especially going into the later hours this evening, as things become a little bit more of a line of thunderstorms. And finally, looking at the hail risk for today, hail is not really the biggest concern for me today. However, it's definitely possible that we see some damaging hail in this red circle here through areas like Wichita, Kansas City, Omaha, and Des Moines. So if you're in that area, definitely make sure you're on the lookout for some possible hail as well. Taking a quick look forward in time at tomorrow's severe weather, this is going to be for Sunday the 14th. We do have a marginal 1 out of 5 risk for severe weather, just some possible damaging winds and maybe a little bit of hail throughout portions of Texas. But our main concern is going to be on the East Coast, where we do have a more widespread risk for damaging winds. On this wind risk map here, you can see that we do have a pretty large area that is a risk for damaging winds from areas like North Carolina all the way through Vermont. Meanwhile, we have a 30% region that extends from Virginia through Maryland, Delaware, and portions of New Jersey and Pennsylvania. So that's going to be our main concern for tomorrow. An isolated tornado cannot be ruled out for portions of Pennsylvania, Virginia, Delaware, Maryland, and even New Jersey. But I'm not really expecting tornadoes to be the main concern. And the same thing goes for hail. Some isolated hail definitely can't be ruled out in that region as well. But again, the risk for tomorrow is more just about a wind risk. So make sure that your outside items are tied down. Looking ahead for the next few days, we don't really have any risk for severe weather on Monday or Tuesday. But as we go into Wednesday and Thursday, I'm expecting things to ramp back up with the possibility for a multi-day severe weather outbreak. But on Monday and Tuesday, just a general risk for some thunderstorms in areas of the northern plains and southern portions of the United States. Taking a look at the hazards on your morning drive, we do have some severe thunderstorms headed towards the Omaha area, as well as some scattered showers and thunderstorms in areas like Michigan, Missouri, Oklahoma, and even parts of the northern plains throughout the Dakotas, Wyoming, and Montana. I did want to take a look at the cloud cover, and not just because I'm worried about you getting a tan, but as you can see, as we get into the afternoon, a lot of these clouds are going to break up during the peak daytime heating hours. This is at 3 p.m. today. And that's going to aid in developing that instability that we need for the severe thunderstorms later this afternoon and into the evening and even the overnight hours tonight. Looking at our surface moisture and our winds throughout the day, you can see that moisture just surging up into Arkansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, and even Kansas. And as we get into the later evening hours, this is at 10 p.m., you can see that cold front beginning to push towards the southeast. And that's going to be our main driving mechanism for our severe weather this afternoon and into the evening hours. Throughout the day, you can also see that instability beginning to bubble up. Here's by 5 p.m. and in these purple regions here, that's where you're going to have the most instability in the atmosphere. So if you can trigger any rising motion, you can get some pretty explosive thunderstorm growth. And that's going to be encompassing areas of Missouri, Kansas, and Oklahoma. Taking a look at our storm relative felicity from 0 to 1 kilometer in the atmosphere, that's just basically going to be the spin available to the atmosphere in the lowest levels, something that you certainly need for tornadoes. As we get into the later evening hours here, you can see some pretty high values popping up in areas of Kansas, Oklahoma, and Missouri. This is by 10 p.m., and this is why I'm mostly concerned about a nighttime tornado threat when people are sleeping, which can be the most dangerous a lot of the time. Finally, I wanted to take a look at the timing for everything today. So we're going to have these thunderstorms throughout Omaha pushing through, and as well as areas in Missouri, like I talked about before. These are going to continue to push towards their east into areas like St. Louis and Peoria and Springfield, both Springfields actually, Missouri and Illinois. This is by 1 p.m. in the afternoon, so some general thunderstorms expected there. That's going to pave the way for some possible severe thunderstorms in areas of southwestern Missouri, as well as Oklahoma and maybe like Fayetteville, Arkansas or so. This is by 7 p.m. You're going to see this line of thunderstorms beginning to start to fire off in areas like Kansas and northwestern Missouri, and that's going to continue to propagate towards the southeast throughout the day, bringing our most significant risk for embedded tornadoes as well as widespread damaging winds. This is by 11 p.m. here, and you can see it's not even through southern Missouri yet. This is why especially I'm concerned about nighttime weather risks, like I've mentioned a couple of times. We're also going to see this continue to push off towards the southeast. This is by 4 a.m. on Sunday. We're getting all the way into Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Indiana. And as we go forward in time, these thunderstorms are just going to continue to push towards the southeast until they fizzle out Sunday afternoon. And that's going to pave the way for our risk of severe weather Sunday evening on the East Coast, where we're mostly looking at a risk for severe damaging wind gusts. As you can see, this is at 5 p.m. here in areas on the East Coast, and some of these thunderstorms are going to start to push off into the Atlantic by the evening hours. One final map worth looking at is the total rainfall expected throughout the next 2 days. This is at 1 a.m. on Monday, so all the rainfall we'll get between now, which is Saturday morning, and Monday at 1 a.m. You can see flash flooding definitely would be possible across areas like Illinois, Kentucky, Missouri, and even Kansas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. So if you're in those areas, definitely make sure you're on the lookout for flooded roadways over the next couple of days. And that's going to bring us to the end of today's forecast video. Thank you so much for choosing WillBrattonWx as your source for trusted weather information across the United States. I won't be broadcasting tonight's severe weather coverage, as I will be out storm chasing it myself. However, make sure that you're subscribed to us here on YouTube with notifications turned on, as well as following us on all the social media platforms that you use, so that you never miss anything. You know when our forecast videos drop, you know when we go live, and you can stay weather aware in your day-to-day life. Thank you so much again for watching, and I will see you soon.